Hello, it's Diana Salami again, and it's Friday night again, and I'm upstairs in the enchanted attic. My husband's at work. I'm here alone with my ghosts and my dogs and my cats, and I told everybody last week that I might make a part 2 to what I was talking about last week, and I thought I would just kind of maybe touch bases on a few of the things that I talked about. One of the things I talked about the book that was written about the race relationships here in Knoxville County. And here's that book. I don't know if you can see it. It's called Uproar at Dancing Rabbit Creek. And it says battling over race, class, and the environment. And it was a pretty good book, and it did tell how the racial environment here is here really here in Mississippi, especially in Knoxville County where I live. So it was good reading. I won't go into details, but there was a part in here where it says, I'll start with the chapter before where it mentions my situation. It said Mississippi has a black population of nearly 36%, far and away the highest percentage of any state, and it has nearly a comparable percentage of black legislators. Walk down the street of Jackson, where you are much more likely to see blacks and whites eating together than in New York or Los Angeles, and every single person, black or white, is likely to greet you with a warm hi, or how you doing. To be sure, this surface cordiality can mask deeper disaffection. This is the state, after all, where the third Monday in January is a legal holiday celebrating the birthdays of both Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert E. Lee. However, just as children who attend integrated schools are less likely to be stereotyped, others because of their race, this generally shatters the usual racial distance. By contrast, Knoxville County remains solidly segregated. A stranger of any race is unlikely to be greeted by passers-by on the street and will not receive the hospitality Mississippi boasters insist is its state forte. In fact, this is because the county protects its own above all else. This illustrated to me most vividly by Martha Blackwell's house, at Martha Blackwell's house, one evening. A group of her high school classmates and their spouses gathered for dinner shortly after New Year's Day. The conversation turned to planning their upcoming 20th high school reunion and the question of whether they should invite a particular woman. Opinions were divided. The men tended to think not. She had not been in their class. The women disagreed. She was, they insisted, the same person inside. The woman in question, who had recently moved back to Knoxville County, had left soon after high school graduation a score of years earlier as a man. Even though those who felt she should be invited were overwhelmed at the thought. As one woman cried in exasperation, "What are we going to do about prizes? How can we hardly give a formerly obese classmate the most changed award because he lost 50 pounds when Arthur became Nancy? Perhaps someone else intoned, we should change the name to the award to the most changed by natural means." The room erupted into laughter. In the end, the prodigal son/daughter was invited to the reunion, but could not attend. Her new business making elaborate cloth toys had its official opening the same day as the reunion. By the end of the year, she was again fully integrated into county life, receiving extensive local newspaper coverage for her craft and an award as the Chamber of Commerce Business Person of the Year. That, in the heart of the Bible Belt, a homegrown transsexual could be embraced with such welcoming arms, spoke volumes to me about the nature of tolerance in Knoxville County. Well, it wasn't totally true. They did not name my before and after names correctly. They claimed I was transsexual instead of intersex because they didn't know. No one bothered to ask me. They just assumed, and they wrote it down. And when this book finally came out, several years after the fact, the people of Knoxville County were so ashamed that they completely stopped coming in my door of my business. My business done so well because I knew how to promote myself. I had my dolls. They weren't toys. They were collectors' Santa's dolls. They were in magazines. They were in the news, the local news, the national news. Hey, everybody in the county, after I became well known, wanted to have one of my Santas. Most everybody who is anybody has one right now. But once this book came out, and they knew that I knew how they really felt about me, they stopped coming in my store. I had to go out of business. And that's the same time when this book came out, is when I had a nervous breakdown. That's whenever I developed panic attacks. I couldn't leave the house. I was diagnosed as bipolar. It was horrible. I already had bipolar disorder, but this sent me reeling. I had thought these people were accepting, and I realized they weren't. So, I just wanted to share that with them. This is one of the reasons everything sort of hit the fan. Until this book came out, people tried to pretend it wasn't there, at least to my face. After this came out, they knew, and I knew exactly where they were coming from, especially the Martha Blackwell. That's all water under the bridge now.